If you have the courage to hear the full nightmare, stay till the end. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to uncover more terrifying stories like this. The van rattled along the narrow, overgrown road, headlights cutting through the thick mist that hugged the edges of Blackwood Forest. 5 friends, Jake, Mia, Lucas, Emma, and Tyler, had driven all day from Atlanta, chasing the thrill of a weekend camping trip deep in the U.S. wilderness. The air was thick with the scent of pine, damp earth, and something else, faint but cloying, like rot. Jake grinned from the driver's seat. "Almost there. This place looks way better in pictures," he said, though his voice carried a nervous edge. Mia leaned forward, scanning the tree line. "These trees are massive. It's creepy how quiet it is." Lucas laughed, trying to break the tension. "Quiet is good. It's nature, come on. No cell service, no distractions. Just us." But as the van slowed over a patch of loose gravel, a shadow flickered across the windshield. Emma stiffened. "Did you see that?" Tyler snorted. "Probably a deer. Or, a raccoon." Mia frowned. It moved too fast to be an animal. Like it was standing upright. Jake rolled his eyes, but didn't dismiss the feeling. He parked near a small clearing where the forest seemed to swallow the fading sunlight. Their campsite would be perfect, just a few feet from the old, overgrown trail that disappeared into the heart of the jungle. They unloaded the backpacks, laughter attempting to mask the chill that had settled over them. Emma set up her tent nearest the edge of the clearing. "I swear, I saw someone back there," she whispered. Lucas shook his head. "There's no one. Look, we're miles from the nearest cabin. Just breathe. It's all in your head." Yet, as darkness began to seep between the trunks, a strange stillness fell. No wind stirred the branches, no crickets sang, no frogs croaked. Even the river nearby seemed to hush itself, as if holding its breath. Jake gathered firewood while Mia struck a match. The fire roared to life, casting long, twitching shadows. They sat around it, marshmallows and canned beans in hand, the orange glow offering a fragile sense of safety. Then, a soft sound came from the tree line. A faint, almost imperceptible whisper, like someone calling a name. "Did you hear that?" Mia's voice was barely audible. "What?" "It's probably the wind," Jake said, though his eyes scanned the darkness. Emma's face went pale. "No, that sounded like Tyler." Tyler frowned. "I didn't." Another whisper, closer this time. Only one word. "Help." They froze. Even the fire seemed to hesitate, its flames shivering unnaturally. Something in Blackwood was awake, watching, waiting. And for the first time that day, the friends felt that creeping, terrible realization. They were not alone. The fire crackled, casting flickering shadows that danced across the forest floor. The whispers had stopped for now, but the friends couldn't shake the feeling that something was lurking just beyond the firelight. Jake tried to joke. "All right, maybe it's just the wind, or a very polite raccoon." His laugh sounded hollow, even to himself. Mia zipped her jacket tighter. "I don't know. I've read stories about Blackwood. People go in, never come out." Lucas rolled his eyes, but even he couldn't deny the oppressive weight of the darkness around them. "Come on, it's fine. We'll set up some perimeter sticks. If anything moves, we'll hear it." They wandered a few feet from the camp, placing jagged sticks into the ground in a circle around the tents. Every crunch of leaves underfoot made them jump. The forest was unnervingly quiet, so quiet that their own breathing sounded deafening. When they returned, the fire seemed to dim. Shadows stretched unnaturally, twisting as if reaching for them. Tyler frowned. "The fire is moving weird." Emma's eyes darted to the tree line. There's something out there. I saw it." "What?" Jake stood, squinting into the darkness. "Where?" "Show me." She shook her head, voice trembling. "I can't, it's too fast. Too dark. It's like it's part of the trees." The friends stared into the jungle. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then a scream echoed, a high, blood-freezing sound. Far away, yet impossibly close. It wasn't one of them. Mia clutched Jake's arm. "What was that?" Lucas shook his head. "Maybe another hiker, lost or something." But none of them moved toward the sound. Something in the scream felt unnatural, deliberate. Something that wanted them to hear it, but not see it. Then the whispering returned, sharper this time, layered with another voice. "Get out." The friends froze. Tyler swallowed hard. We should stay inside the tents, right?" Jake nodded slowly. Yeah, let's not, go wandering into the forest at night. They retreated, closing zippers and drawing blankets around themselves. Even from inside the tents, the whispers felt close, almost brushing against their ears, fading in and out like shadows dancing just beyond sight. Minutes passed. Hours. They had no idea. Sleep didn't come. Only the feeling of being watched, eyes pressing against the thin fabric of their tents. A rustle here, a faint snap there. Something moved between the trees. Emma whispered, barely audible, It's circling us." The others shivered, trying to convince themselves it was imagination. But deep down, they knew Blackwood wasn't just a forest. It was alive, and it had already noticed them. The first rays of morning barely pierced the thick canopy of Blackwood. The friends were exhausted, faces pale, eyes rimmed with shadows from a night of fear. The mist hung low, clinging to every branch like a warning. Jake emerged from his tent first, stretching and rubbing his temples. "We survived the night, probably just our imaginations." Mia glanced around, uneasy. "Then why does it feel like something watched us all night?" They gathered for breakfast, stale granola bars and cold coffee from a thermos. The forest around them was eerily still, the whispers from the night gone, leaving only the faint rustle of leaves. Tyler yawned, trying to lighten the mood. "Maybe we just need a little hike. Stretch our legs, explore the trail a bit." Emma hesitated. "I don't know, it's too quiet. Too empty." Lucas shrugged. "It's fine. We'll stick together. Nothing's going to happen in broad daylight." They began walking down the trail, sticks and branches crunching underfoot. The dense jungle seemed endless, a labyrinth of shadows and twisting roots. Birds called from high branches, their songs sharp against the quiet tension. Jake led the way, turning to make sure everyone was following. But when he looked back, "Wait, where's Tyler?" Panic sparked through the group. "He was right behind me," Lucas exclaimed. Emma's voice trembled. "Maybe he went to pee?" Jake shook his head. "No, he wouldn't just wander off here. Not in this forest. Come on, call him." They shouted, voices echoing through the jungle. Tyler didn't answer. Only silence returned, thicker and heavier than before. Mia grabbed Jake's arm. "We should go back. Now." They retraced their steps, scanning the shadows. A faint trail of broken twigs led off the main path, deep into a cluster of gnarled trees. At first, it seemed accidental, but then they noticed something chilling. Small scratches on the bark, almost like a warning. Lucas swallowed hard. This isn't normal." Emma shivered. "It's like he was taken, like the forest claimed him." A whisper floated from the trees, low, almost amused. One by one, the friends froze. The words weren't in any language they knew, yet every syllable vibrated inside their skulls. Their worst fear began to solidify. Whatever haunted Blackwood wasn't just watching. It was hunting. Jake's hands shook. "We stick together, no one goes alone. We'll find him, but stay close." They pressed forward, hearts hammering, eyes darting to every shadow. But the deeper they went, the darker the forest became, the mist thicker, the silence heavier. And somewhere behind them, they felt it, the gaze of something waiting, patient, hungry. The sun was high now, but the dense Blackwood canopy swallowed most of its light. The friends moved cautiously, following the narrow trail deeper into the jungle. Tyler was gone, and the absence of his voice hung over them like a shadow, heavier than any mist. Jake clenched his fists. "We can't panic. We just have to stay together. He's probably just hiding or confused." Mia shook her head. "No, something took him. I know it." Her voice trembled, yet there was a strange certainty in her words, as if she could sense the forest's hunger. Emma hugged herself. "It feels like the trees are watching us. Breathing. Waiting." Lucas scoffed nervously. "It's a forest, not a monster. Stop psyching yourselves out." But even he couldn't meet the shadows that seemed to shift when no one was looking directly at them. They pressed on, the narrow path winding like a serpent between the trees. Every footstep seemed amplified, every rustle magnified. Then, a sudden movement in the undergrowth made Emma yelp. A figure darted from the side, a jagged silhouette, then vanished. Their hearts skipped. "Did you see that?" Jake whispered. Mia nodded. "It's watching us. It's like it's studying us." Lucas tried to maintain reason. "Probably a deer. Or some other animal." Then the scream came, piercing, unnatural, echoing from above and around them at once. It was not Tyler. This scream belonged to Mia. Jake spun around. Mia? She had frozen, pointing toward a tangle of vines and roots. There, emerging from the mist, a shadow detached itself from the darkness. A figure, too tall, too thin, with limbs bending in ways no humans could. It moved with unnatural speed, its presence warping the air around it. Before anyone could react, it lunged at Lucas, wrapping him in its long, shadowed arms. His scream cut off abruptly, leaving only a strangled echo. Then silence. Emma and Jake ran, hearts hammering, back toward the small clearing where their camp had been. Branches lashed at their faces, roots tried to trip them, but the forest seemed to open a path for the predator behind them. Mia's hand brushed against something on the ground, a torn piece of Lucas's shirt. Her stomach churned. We have to keep moving, or we're next. The whispers returned, closer now, as if circling them in the fog. 2 down, 3 to go. Jake's voice was barely audible. We can't stop, just don't look back. The forest seemed to stretch endlessly. Every shadow seemed alive, every movement sinister. They didn't see what trailed them, but they could feel it. The forest had learned them, and it was patient, knowing they could not escape. The forest seemed endless, a maze of twisting trunks and thick undergrowth. Jake and Emma ran, hearts hammering, lungs burning, but every step brought them deeper into Blackwood's shadowed grip. The screams of Tyler and Lucas had faded, replaced by a suffocating silence that pressed on their ears. Emma stumbled, catching herself on a gnarled root. Jake, I can't keep running. Jake grabbed her hand. We have to. Trust me. If we stop, it'll catch us. Mist swirled around them, thickening, curling through the trees like fingers. Something brushed past Emma's shoulder, cold, almost like smoke, but solid enough to make her shriek. What was that? She gasped. Jake shook his head. Don't look. Just keep moving. The shadows seemed to shift with them, bending, stretching, whispering. The forest was alive, feeding on their fear. Then, a figure appeared. A tall, featureless shadow with limbs that stretched unnaturally. It blocked the path ahead, moving with a fluid, almost predatory grace. Emma froze. Jake, it's him. Or it's Lucas. Jake shook his head, eyes wide. No, it's not human. It's something else. Move. Don't stop. The shadow lunged, faster than thought. Emma stumbled backward, crashing into a tree. The creature's elongated arm grazed her shoulder, and the cold, shadowy touch left a burning chill that seemed to seep into her bones. She screamed, a blood-freezing sound that echoed through the forest. The shadow receded as if satisfied with the fear it had extracted, leaving her trembling, panting, half-collapsed on the muddy ground. Jake knelt beside her, eyes darting through the mist. We can't stay here. It wants us terrified. We need to keep moving. Emma swallowed hard, tears streaking her dirt-smeared face. It wasn't Lucas, but it felt like him. Or maybe it was him. The whispers circled around them again, soft at first, then growing in intensity. 3, 2, 1. Emma shivered. It's counting, just like the first one said. Jake took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. We need a plan. We need. A low, guttural sound cut him off, a vibration in the earth itself. The shadow wasn't just a predator. It was the forest, alive and malevolent, hunting them systematically. Emma's hand brushed against something in the mud, a torn piece of Tyler's jacket, soaked and shredded. The reminder of the first victim jolted them both. Fear had become a physical weight, pressing them down, making each step heavier than the last. The forest seemed endless. Every tree was a potential hiding place, every shadow a threat. The whispers faded to a single, chilling voice. Next. Jake's eyes met Emma's. Both knew the horrifying truth. They were trapped, and the forest had only just begun its hunt. Jake pulled Emma to her feet, her trembling hand clinging to his arm. The forest seemed to close in around them, mist curling like ghostly fingers, hiding shapes that moved just out of sight. Every rustle of leaves, every snapping twig set their nerves ablaze. Keep running. Jake hissed. We have to get back to the clearing. There has to be a way out. Emma nodded, breath ragged, eyes wide with terror. It's everywhere. I can feel it. Watching. Waiting. The shadows shifted with unnatural speed. A whisper echoed from behind them, low and mocking. One more. Suddenly, a twisted shape sprang from the undergrowth. Lucas, or what remained of him, was there, but grotesquely altered. His limbs stretched impossibly, his face a blur in the shadows, and his mouth opened in a silent scream. Emma froze. No, it's Lucas. Jake grabbed her, dragging her forward. Don't look. Don't stop. They ran blindly, feet slipping in the wet mud. Branches clawed at their faces, roots tripping them. The whispers followed, now a chorus circling in their ears, each word designed to unnerve, to break their resolve. Hurry, run, fall. Then the forest shifted, the shadows moving ahead to block the path. Emma stumbled, tripping over a gnarled root, and Jake spun back to pull her up. But in that split second, a tendril of darkness shot from the trees, wrapping around Emma's ankle. She screamed, the sound raw and piercing. The shadow pulled her backward, dragging her into the mist, twisting her form into a fleeting silhouette before vanishing. No, Emma, Jake shouted, lunging forward, but the forest seemed alive, resisting him at every step. It swallowed her scream, leaving only the echo of the whisper. Last. Jake skidded to a stop, chest heaving, mud coating his hands and clothes. He was alone. The clearing, once their sanctuary, lay ahead, empty, silent, and foreboding. The forest loomed, patient, waiting for the final act. The whispers returned, closer now, almost inside his skull. Alone. His mind raced. Fear was no longer just a sensation. It was physical, pressing on his chest, blurring his vision. Every instinct screamed to flee, but the forest twisted behind him, paths rearranging, guiding him into its heart. A cold wind swept through the trees, carrying a scent of decay, a reminder of Tyler, Lucas, and now Emma. The forest was a predator, and Jake was the final prey. He stumbled into a small clearing. There, a faint glimmer of light from a half-buried campsite lantern offered the illusion of safety. But the shadows moved even there, curling around him, teasing, whispering, "You can't hide. Not from us." Jake's hands shook. I have to survive. I have to get out." But as the mist thickened and the shadows twisted into humanoid shapes, he realized the horrifying truth. Blackwood didn't let anyone leave. And he was already trapped. Jake stumbled through the dense undergrowth, mud clinging to his shoes, heart hammering in his chest like a drum of warning. The forest seemed alive, breathing around him, twisting paths into loops, making him feel as though he was running in circles. Every tree looked identical, every shadow a potential predator. Voices whispered from the mist, Tyler, Lucas, Emma, but when Jake turned, there was no one. Only darkness, teasing him, taunting him. "Jake, come play." The whispers slithered into his mind. "We're waiting." He gritted his teeth, gripping a broken branch like a weapon, though he knew it was useless. Every instinct screamed to keep moving, but the forest played tricks on him. Paths that led nowhere, roots that seemed to shift underfoot, and branches that bent to block his way. Suddenly, he stumbled into a small clearing. His eyes widened. There, faint and glowing, were three figures standing silently, shrouded in shadow. Tyler, Lucas, Emma. They raised their heads slowly, mouths moving, but no sound came out. Jake's stomach churned. This can't be real. The shadows around the figures stretched, reaching toward him like smoke. The whispers returned, louder now, harsher. Alone, last. Panic clawed at him. He swung the branch at the figures, but it passed through them, as if they were not fully real. They dissipated, replaced by trees that had shifted, now forming a wall around him. Jake backed up, hitting the edge of a bog. His foot slipped, plunging into the mud. He struggled to free himself, the forest closing in, suffocating, relentless. Suddenly, he felt a cold, inhuman touch brush his shoulder. The air shifted, thickened, pressing down on him. The whispering was now inside his skull. "You can't leave. You're ours." He screamed, trying to run, but every direction twisted and folded. The forest itself seemed to laugh, branches brushing like fingers across his face, roots tripping him, leaves scratching at his eyes. Then, in a brief, horrifying moment, he saw it, the source. A towering, featureless shadow, larger than any tree, limbs bending unnaturally, face void-like, eyes empty pits of darkness. It was not human. It was the forest itself, and it was watching, patient, calculating. Jake's breath came in ragged gasps. No, no, I, I have to. His voice faltered as he realized the inescapable truth. The forest didn't just hunt. They toyed with the mind, extracting fear before the end. The shadow advanced, and the clearing began to collapse into mist and darkness. The whispers crescendoed, chanting in a chorus of lost voices, alone forever. Jake's hands clutched at nothing, his eyes darting in all directions. He was utterly alone, the final prey, and Blackwood's hunger had reached its peak. Jake's heart thundered as he stumbled through the fog-choked clearing. The shadows had multiplied, twisting into shapes that seemed almost human, but not quite. He blinked, and they were gone. The forest itself had become a maze of shifting trees and curling mist, each path leading nowhere. A low, resonant whisper crawled through his skull. The last one. He gasped, vision blurring as he tried to force a path forward. Then, he saw it. A flicker of movement beyond a cluster of ancient oaks. A faint lantern glow. His last hope. He ran, branches lashing at his face, roots clawing at his legs. But the glow moved as he moved, always just out of reach. Then a figure appeared in front of him, his own reflection, twisted, shadowed, face void of features. Jake staggered back. The forest's whispers turned into laughter, hollow, echoing, mocking. Leave, 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 the voices chanted. He realized the horrifying truth. The forest didn't just trap bodies, it trapped minds. Tyler, Lucas, Emma, they weren't gone in the traditional sense. They had become part of Blackwood, absorbed into its consciousness, waiting to claim the next victim. The reflection reached toward him, and in that instant, Jake felt every fear he had ever had pouring into the forest, his panic feeding it, twisting the mist into claws. He screamed and lunged forward, but the path beneath him vanished. He fell into darkness, cold mud and shadows swallowing him whole. For a brief moment, he hit solid ground. He scrambled up, gasping, only to find himself back at the campsite. The same clearing he had started from, but it was different. The tents were torn, the fire extinguished, and the shadows moved with a sentient rhythm. A whisper, now clear and cold, slithered into his mind. Welcome home. Jake turned. The figures of his friends emerged from the mist, pale, silent, faces blank. They did not speak. They reached toward him. He realized with a sinking dread that he would join them, becoming part of the forest's endless hunger. And just before the shadows engulfed him completely, Jake's scream echoed into the jungle. The forest fell silent again, waiting for the next group of travelers foolish enough to enter Blackwood. The wind shifted. The leaves whispered in the dark. Blackwood never forgets, and it never forgives. Only those who survive till the end subscribe to survive the next horror story.